People think you need years of study to read someone. You don't. You just need to understand one thing. People reveal themselves through their drives, not their words. And no philosopher exposed human drives more brutally and more accurately than Friedrich Nietzsche. Nietzsche didn't teach you how to read people. He taught you what people actually are beneath the masks they wear. So here are Nietzsche's 10 psychological truths that will help you read anyone instantly, not by observing their behavior, but by understanding the engine behind their behavior. Let's begin. 1. All humans seek power, even when they don't admit it. Nietzsche's most important insight is his idea of the will to power. Not power in the political sense, but the internal drive to assert yourself, influence your world, and feel significant. If you want to read someone instantly, ask, where do they try to feel powerful? For some, power comes from knowledge. For others, from attention. For others, from being respected or feared. For others, from being needed. Everyone's personality is shaped by the one thing that makes them feel powerful. Find that, and you understand them better than they understand themselves. 2. People don't hide the truth. They hide the parts that make them feel small. Nietzsche said, every human wears a mask, not to deceive others, but to protect the fragile parts of themselves. When someone hides something, they're not hiding a dark secret. They're hiding a weakness. Look for what they avoid talking about. Look for the topics that make them uncomfortable. Look for the situations where they retreat, deflect, or change the subject. Where someone feels small, they build the biggest mask. That mask reveals exactly what they fear others will see. 3. What people criticize most harshly is what they secretly wish they had. Nietzsche understood a psychological mechanism many people still don't notice. Criticism is often disguised desire. When someone attacks a trait in others, success, confidence, beauty, freedom, courage, they're not exposing the other person. They're exposing themselves. Nietzsche would tell you, envy never says, I envy you. It says, I hate that you have what I desire, but cannot admit. If you want to read someone instantly, study what they resent. Resentment is the shadow of unfulfilled desire. 4. People don't act from morality. They act from instinct, then justify it. Nietzsche believed humans are not rational beings. They are instinctual creatures who create rational explanations after the fact. You can read a person instantly by watching what they do before they explain it. Their spontaneous reaction is their truth. Their explanation is their strategy. If their instinct is aggression, they'll justify it as strength. If their instinct is fear, they'll justify it as prudence. If their instinct is desire, they'll justify it as love. Nietzsche's rule is simple. Ignore what they justify. Watch what they do first. 5. People who claim to be virtuous are hiding their lack of virtue. Nietzsche had no patience for moral superiority. He believed moral bragging was the clearest sign of internal weakness. The person who claims they're humble wants admiration. The person who claims they're kind wants praise. The person who claims they're honest wants influence. True character never announces itself. Only insecurity needs advertising. This is one of the fastest ways to read someone. The louder they proclaim a trait, the less they actually have it. 6. Every person has a wound that shapes their worldview. Nietzsche saw suffering not as an obstacle, but as a sculptor of personality. People don't interpret the world objectively, they interpret it through the lens of their wounds. Someone betrayed becomes distrustful. Someone neglected becomes attention-seeking. Someone shamed becomes aggressive. Someone controlled becomes rebellious. Someone unrecognized becomes arrogant. To read someone instantly, ask, what wound shaped this person's worldview? Their entire psychology will fall into place.
7. People reveal themselves through what they chase, not what they avoid. Nietzsche believed desire is the purest mirror of the soul. People can lie about their beliefs, values, and morals, but they cannot lie about what they pursue. Watch what someone is willing to sacrifice for. That tells you what truly drives them. If they sacrifice time for money, money is their god. If they sacrifice relationships for status, status is their god. If they sacrifice comfort for mastery, mastery is their god. People always chase one thing more than anything else. Find that, and you understand their entire personality. 8. Weak people follow the crowd. Strong people follow themselves. Nietzsche didn't believe in social conformity. He believed it was a sign of weakness, a sign that a person cannot create their own values. You can read someone instantly by seeing whether they imitate or invent. If they dress like everyone else, think like everyone else, talk like everyone else, desire what everyone else desires, you are looking at a person shaped by the crowd. If they hold opinions that aren't fashionable, if they stand alone confidently, if they pursue goals others don't understand, that's a person shaped by inner strength. Nietzsche's formula is blunt. Conformity reveals insecurity. Individuality reveals power. 9. People tell the truth only when it benefits them. Nietzsche claimed humans lie constantly, not out of malice, but survival. There are 3 types of lies. 1. Lies to avoid consequences. 2. Lies to gain advantage. 3. Lies to protect identity. Want to read someone instantly? Study what they gain by telling the truth. If telling the truth benefits them, they'll be honest. If it harms them, they'll distort it. Nietzsche wasn't pessimistic, he was realistic. He believed truth is a luxury humans use only when it doesn't threaten their self-interest. So, when someone speaks, ask, who does this truth serve? That single question exposes motives instantly. 10. People are not good or bad, they are driven. Nietzsche believed human beings are not moral categories. They are systems of urges, instincts, fears, and ambitions. Once you stop categorizing people as nice, selfish, loyal, or toxic, you start seeing them the way Nietzsche did, as expressions of their dominant drive. Some are driven by security, some by recognition, some by superiority, some by creativity, some by revenge, some by survival, some by meaning. When you look at someone this way, their behavior becomes predictable, because drives are consistent, motives repeat, patterns echo. Nietzsche's entire psychology can be condensed into one rule. Find the drive, and you understand the entire personality. Bringing it all together. Now, let's assemble all 10 truths into a single reading framework. 1. What makes them feel powerful? 2. What part of themselves are they hiding? 3. What do they resent or criticize? 4. What do they do instinctively before they justify it? 5. What virtues do they brag about? 6. What wound shaped their worldview? 7. What do they chase consistently? 8.
Do they imitate the crowd or follow themselves? 9. Who benefits from their version of the truth? 10. What drive repeats across their actions? Ask these 10 questions and a person's inner architecture becomes visible. Their motives become predictable. Their fears become obvious. Their desires become readable. Their masks become transparent. Nietzsche wasn't teaching you to judge people. He was teaching you to see people without illusions, to understand why they act the way they do, to recognize the currents beneath their behavior. Because when you understand these forces, you don't just read people. You understand them at a level most people never reach. Nietzsche's insights weren't meant to make you cynical. They were meant to make you clear-eyed. When you stop expecting purity, you stop being deceived. When you stop assuming simplicity, you start seeing complexity. When you stop believing in masks, you start seeing motives. This is how you read anyone instantly. Through the 10 psychological truths Nietzsche spent his life uncovering. Not by observing their behavior, but by understanding the forces that create their behavior.